Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 903 Sports. I am your host, Cameron Brown, joined by the boys Hunter Shattuck, Mason Cudd, and newcomer Connor Crowe, a.k.a. Ski, our 903 Sports Rangers Insider, Rangers, also known as the Rags, as we will refer to them many times on this special edition baseball pod. So before we get into some Rags talk, I want to talk a little big picture MLB to start off. Big season, off-season moves. Big off-season moves have been done. It is a completely different looking league going into the 2022 season. Carlos Correa is a Twin. The Rangers sign Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Nick Castellanos is a Philadelphia Philly. Atlanta Braves get Freddie Freeman. Max Scherzer goes to the Mets. It's unreal. Players all over the place. It's going to be a wild year in baseball. A lot of moves have gone down. Trevor Story's a Red Sox. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun league in baseball. So I want to just jump right into it. Connor, I will give you the opener. Give me the team to beat in baseball, not named the LA Dodgers this year.
Okay. That's a tough one.
Because everyone knows they're going to be a wagon.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got it like they do, I mean, it's hard to pick against them. They're obvious favorite in the NL, but in the AL, man, it's as wide open as I've seen in a while, especially with the East.
Yep.
So if I've got to give one team to beat aside from the Dodgers, I'm going to say it's guys we're playing this weekend, the Blue Jays.
I agree.
They were good last year. They didn't get in the postseason with the division they had, but man, you lose Robbie Ray, Cy Young winner. Sure, you go sign Kevin Gausman. You lose Marcus Semien. I think that's a bigger loss than most people will acknowledge at this point. But, man, I don't know. You just signed the best defender, I think, in baseball, and Matt Chapman. He had a down year with the bat, probably from his hip injury, But, man, if he can turn back into that guy he was, they're not going to miss a beat. And Vladdy, I mean, last year, runner-up in the AL MVP voting, just because of what Shohei did. I mean, it's hard to beat that, but Vladdy was chasing a triple crown there for the first time we've seen in a while. But I'll say the Blue Jays, yeah.
You got Bo Bichette as well, and that kid's a ball player. They got a lot of good young talent. They're going to be a problem for a long time. Yeah, I think the Blue Jays are also a great pick. So, Hunter, what about you? Give me your sleeper this year that no one's really talking about. Obviously, the Rangers are going to be the sleeper of the season.
You mean other than the Rangers?
Yeah, other than the Rangers. Give me a good sleeper this year in baseball.
Man, well, I don't really know much about a sleeper pick. I mean, a team that I think is going to surprise some people is the Mariners. I mean, I don't really know how surprising they're going to be, but, Ski, you pointed out they got Robbie Ray there. They had a Jesse Winker playing the outfield. So I think, unfortunately for the Rangers, I think that's going to be pretty good for them. I think they're going to be pretty tough to handle.
They're going to be a problem. That we'll get into division predictions at the end of the pod, but yeah, they're going to really cause some problems, and they got a lot of good young talent as well. If I'm not mistaken, they won 90 games last year.
Yeah,
and they got better this offseason.
Yeah,
so watch out for them. So, Cud, I will go to you. Give me a good sleeper, and then a team to beat this year in baseball.
Honestly, a team that I really have kind of hopped on their wagon for the last couple of years is the Chicago White Sox. Tim Anderson and Abreu and Moncada and Grandal, man, those guys are ball players. And they lost, Craig Kimbrell. He just went to the Dodgers now, actually. But they got Joe Kelly. They picked him up in the offseason. So they still got Giolito and those guys. So I like the White Sox. I think they're going to have a good year this year. But as far as I'm interested to see really how the Twins play. They've kind of made some random pickups along the way. I mean, outside of, Correa and stuff. I mean, here in the last couple of years, the Twins really haven't done a whole lot other than whenever, they had Nelson Cruz and those guys and they led the league in homers, but they didn't do anything with that. So I'm kind of anxious to see how Correa fits in there. I can't remember how many years was that contract. Was it 10?
Or no, he just signed it's a 3 with an opt-out after 1.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm kind of anxious to see how that works out with them. But my team to watch outside of the teams y'all were just talking about is the White Sox.
Yeah, I like that twin sleeper code because they didn't have a great year last year, and the year before, the COVID year, They had a really good ball club, and then last year they were not as good because they had very high expectations going into last year. Now you bring in Correa, and I want to touch on Correa real quick. Do we think there was a rift between him and the Astros? Because that contract is bizarre to me. Signing a deal where he could opt out after 1 year, it seems like a bet on yourself contract. Well, why wouldn't you just stay in Houston? You know?
I guess maybe I think originally if he's like all these guys got these 8, 10-year, 5-year deals, I think he was looking for a long-term deal. But I mean, if you remember the offseason, kind of everybody got cherry picked pretty quick. And then he was there at the end.
Yeah.
With not a whole lot of teams that could afford probably the money he was wanting. So I think in his mind at the end of the offseason, he was probably like, I'll just go here a couple of years, try it out, bail out, and then just try and get another mega deal, or maybe just go back to Houston. They still got Bregman and Altuve. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, I think he's just kind of taking it 1 year at a time, I guess, to try and get that major deal. But
Yeah.
I think that he's like, as far as a rift with, the Bregman and Altuve, I don't think that's there. I think they got along pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know about with the players. It feels like to me with the organization, I think he felt like he deserved a max deal from the Astros, and I don't know if they were willing to pay him that max deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the rift kind of came in. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll throw out a quick sleeper team. I think the Tigers are going to be a sleeper team in the AL. They're kind of like us. The Rangers are kind of in rebuild mode, but they kind of had a quicker boost in their offseason with, getting guys like Javi Baez, and they just got Austin Meadows, and their pitching's in a lot better shape than ours is. They got a lot of their Jack Lighters are already there. So I think they're just a step ahead of us, and their rebuild was a lot longer than the Rangers rebuild. They've been bad for a long time. So I think their time could be coming. That division is going to be kind of fun to watch. You got the White Sox, Twins, and now the Tigers, and then the Guardians just paid Jose Ramirez a lot of money, so they're keeping him. And they also have former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber. So that'll be a pretty competitive division as well. So I want to touch one more thing, big baseball picture. Ski, I'll let you kind of guide this one. Are the Dodgers a super team? We opened talking about them a little bit. That's one of the best rosters I've ever seen in baseball, now that you just added Freddie Freeman. It's hard. It's crazy when you lose Kenley Jansen, Corey Seager, and Max Scherzer, and you end up getting better after that.
Yeah, I think that's textbook super team. We haven't seen something like this in baseball since 2009, maybe, the Yankees that year.
Yankees.
Yeah, they were stupid that year. But, you're talking about, like you said, Corey Seager's gone,
right,
one of their pillars of that franchise. And it seems like, so what? We got Trey Turner right over here. We got him at the deadline. He can fill those shoes. Freeman, they're just an all-star team.
Yeah, they really are.
That's I think probably the best, if not second best catcher in baseball, Will Smith. He made strides last year. The only other guy I could see rivaling him for that is, like Cub mentioned, Yasmani Grandal. And man, they're just pitching. People don't realize that Dustin May was hurt most of last year. He's one of their top pitching prospects, and he throws heat.
Yeah.
So you need guys like that healthy. Walker Buehler, I could see him winning the Cy Young this year. You're talking about a rotation that Kershaw is not the number one in, and it's not ridiculous. Then that means something's going right for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the team to beat. That's why you started off with a caveat. Couldn't say the Dodgers were the team to beat. They've got a top-heavy division still over there. With the Giants are still going to be good. The Rockies and D-backs still going to be abysmal. And the Padres are going to be kind of interesting. Without Tatis for a little while, after doing a very good job of underachieving last year. But yeah, they're a super team, 100%.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ski. The Padres will be interesting. Last year, they massive underachieved this year, and your franchise cornerstone is now hurt. And back to the Dodgers. What's the kid with the goggles name? Young pitcher for the Dodgers.
Julio Urias. Yeah.
Yes, another stud they have, and he's their 4-man when Dustin May comes back.
Yeah.
That's insane. They seem like a lock to win 100 games this year. That they're going to be a problem. Oh, that's a little big picture. Oh, one more thing, big picture, and Hunter, I'll let you talk about this. Boy, did baseball dodge a bullet with this lockout thing. It could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. Thank God season got delayed a week, right? That's all we missed, about 7 days of baseball. It was looking like for a while we may not get baseball till June or July.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank goodness. And we've talked about it before, who's to blame and all that, but just throwing it out there. Thank goodness that baseball's not starting in the summer because that would have just sucked. So, all right. Big ticket item. Rangers baseball. Biggest offseason we've had in who knows how long.
Ever.
I love watching the Rangers. I'll watch almost every game, and I couldn't do it last year. We were legitimately unwatchable as I've ever seen. Texas Rangers baseball is horrible.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of bad baseball, and almost that entire team is gone except for a few pieces coming back this year. We spend over $500 million this offseason bringing in Corey Singer and Marcus Semien. So, Ski, I'll throw it back to you. Question on people's minds, did we overpay for Semien and Seager? I personally think we did, but I think we needed to. I think it's justified.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go about it, and they were, Semien was the first big middle infielder to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, what's the market right now?
Yeah, he signed
early. And then Semien signs like, oh, that's the market. That's a little bit higher
Market's
than
up. All right.
expected. But it's hard to say that's a guy like that's underrated, but I don't think people realize what Marcus Semien's done the past few years, especially after going and signing that prove-it deal in Toronto.
Yep.
Man, he was, the statistics here, he was worth 7 wins last year. And he hit 45 bombs, a record for second baseman. He was third in AL MVP voting, and that's no small feat. You're like a third. Okay, there's 2 guys better than you. Well, the 2 guys that were better than him voting were Vladdy on his own team across the diamond, and then Shohei, the unicorn. So it's like, the only thing I could see critiquing about this contract is the length. You think the guy's 31, you're going to have him until he's 38. Is he going to be hitting 45 bombs at 38? No. But if that's what it took to get him to come to Arlington and a 102 loss team, then that's what it takes, man. You got to dish that money out to get guys there. But no, I don't think overpaid for him. And then Seager, the only way I could see us calling that an overpay is if his injury history prevails and he only plays 95 games last year.
Yeah.
He's got some injury history, but it's not like terrible stuff. Like, he's not blowing out his knee left and right. He broke a wrist here and there, okay, it's fine, but he's not, he's not a Tommy John, annually pitcher. So that doesn't bother me so much. And there's another big shortstop with an injury history this year, Crowe. He signed a $35.1 million a year deal. So I don't know. It seems like a lot of money because we've never seen like it before, but that's what it's going to take,
Yeah. And it's about time that we kind of just, hey, let's just go big or go home here. It's time. We got a new ballpark. Let's go out and get some ball players in here. And the Semien contract kind of reminds me of Beltre. Kind of signed him at the back end of his career. And I'd say that one worked pretty good. Don't you think? Yeah. And I think Semien's got a lot of years left. I think he's obviously not going to hit 45 bombs when he's 38, but he very well could play to that point. Semien's getting better and better as it goes on.
Yes. Yeah. He played all 162 last year. I mean, he didn't miss a game.
Awesome. Love the Semien sign. That was our first big one. And then the rest is history. So awesome offseason. So Cud, I'll get you in here. Are we happy to see ownership finally kind of being like, hey, let's pour some money in this thing and start winning some ball games, dang it.
Yeah, 100%. And not only that, I mean, for these last however many years where we've just been horrible, I felt like the experiment was, hey, let's get as many young players as we possibly can out on the field, and maybe we'll find a diamond. Yep. And it didn't work. So, to say the least. So, after that, it pretty much didn't happen. I think, I mean, like you said, we just got a brand new stadium. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to throw some money at somebody. And honestly, I didn't expect to get both of them. I expected to land one pretty major sign. And like you said, Mark is coming right off the bat. Ski, that was awesome. And like you were saying, the only thing I'm worried about the contract is the length. But even if he's not hitting the 45 homers, dude, that guy can field. So at second base, I mean, he can contribute to the team in other ways other than hitting homers at a later age. So, yeah, I'm not worried about him. I think he's awesome. Great guy for the locker room too.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah, and as well, Corey Seager, he speaks for himself. He's incredible when he's out there. And honestly, I don't care how much we paid him.
Yeah.
We finally signed somebody, and that's the first step, is to get somebody you can put some young guys around. Before, we had a bunch of 21-year-olds out there saying, "Hey, let's go try to beat the Dodgers tonight."
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to happen, So, yeah, I'm super pumped. And finally, we're putting some players out there, and we got some good guys, before we signed them too, And I don't think Adolis Garcia, I don't think that was a fluke year last year. I think he's going to still be a great contributor to the team. So, yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
And we got some. That's another thing. That's a good point, Cut, about Simeon. He's a great locker room guy. The Blue Jays were heartbroken. They wanted him to come back. Bichette and Vladdy were like, hey, they were active on social media wanting to get Simeon to come back, and he obviously chose the Rangers. But he's going to be huge on getting this young team together and getting some kind of groundwork established for the Rangers. And Cole Calhoun could be another guy like that. Mm-hmm. So, Ski, I'll jump to you talking about laying the groundwork. What are the expectations for the Rangers? Obviously, not going to be World Series contenders this year. Probably not even playoff contenders. But we're going to be a lot better than we were last year. They're going to be watchable, at least I think. So what should our expectations be for this season?
Yeah, so I think it's reasonable to see this game winning, staying around 500 for a lot of the year. It's a pretty tough division, and it is. We're playing the National League East this year in interdivisional play. And that's another, we can talk about that for a while too. They've got a hell of a division over there with, all the moves the Phillies made. The Braves didn't miss a beat. The Marlins aren't terrible.
They're kind of coming up.
But yeah, as far as us, man, you've got to, we need to see these guys in the bullpen. You've got to have some sort of consistency on, it can't be a crapshoot on who's going to come out of the bullpen every night. Mm-hmm. So some of those, and we're very young back there, and the two guys that were pretty consistent that we had are hurt. So you got to take that for what it's worth. But man, some of those guys need to step up and say, hey, I want to be one of these bullpen guys for years and when this team's a contention and stuff. And same thing with the rotation. Hearn, I'm high on Taylor Hearn taking a big step this year. John Gray, obviously, that signing's great. He'll be our number one, eat a ton of innings. And a guy like Spencer Howard, somebody's got to light a flame under him and say, it's got to be tough for him being the number one prospect in that organization and just falling out of love with them. And they decided to deal him at the deadline to another squad. It's like, this is a new place. Nobody's bringing any of that baggage with you here. So, do something with it. You got a spot in the rotation. Let's play. But yeah, no, this team's not going to win a division. I could see the ceiling being maybe a wild card. Even I think that might be a little bit of a stretch because, you've got, you could see 4 teams from the AL East getting in there. I could see 3, if you include us, 4 teams from the West getting in there. I think the Central's probably the weaker division of the 3.
They're all average in the Central.
Yeah, definitely. It's the White Sox and everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay around 500 will be good. And I feel like, I don't know if it's just from a viewer and audience point of view, but man, that team last year struck out more than anybody I've seen in a while.
They were unwatchable. They were horrible.
And you put the ball in play and you're not getting hits, you're making good contact, and you don't win games. Okay. But man, the game we went to, I saw, you could put a toilet paper roll up there and watch it, watch 3 fastballs down the middle like Leody Taveras. And him being a top prospect for a while, he's got something to prove too. But yeah, just some more consistency, especially from the arms and the rotation, the bullpen. And then, man, just have some grit. That's what we need. That's an expectation right there.
Yeah,
Let's get on the
let's
grit
show some
scale.
heart. Let's have some good games. And that's a good point. Spencer Howard has been awful. He was awful last year for us. He looked pretty sharp in spring training at times. So I'm very, very interested to watch him play because he was Philly's number one prospect for a reason. So the talent's there. He's got to find it. I'm also curious to really watch your boy Hearn this year. I like Taylor a lot. He's got a big opportunity because that's the biggest question mark on this Rags ball club is our pitching, especially starting pitching. I mean, everyone's got us bottom 5 in the league with our rotation. And I think we could surprise some people. Martin Perez hopefully the guy can get out there and just eat some innings and, just try to keep that ERA below 5. John Gray, I'm excited about. Dunning, I'm very excited about. He showed some flashes last year. So that's going to be interesting to see. Hunter, I'll ask you, are you hitting the panic button on this pitching staff while we're talking about it? Or is there some kind of open-ended, curiosity? Because obviously the Rangers have not had a good pitching staff in God knows how long. It's been a while.
We're sitting here breaking it down. And other than Perez, I'm sitting here kind of like, hey, we may not be that bad.
There's some curiosity there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, if Hearn produces the way that we think he will, and Dane gets more consistent because he has the talent to be a staple, maybe not an ace, but a definite solid rotation guy in the rotation.
No doubt.
And if he can just find some consistency, and Spencer Howard's a wild card. And I want to ask Ski what he thinks about this. If Spencer Howard kind of finds his form and becomes a decent pitcher, do you think that sets back Cole Winn getting called up? Because he's scheduled, or not scheduled, but he's expected to be seen at some point this year. But you think if Spencer Howard in that 5-hole starts pitching well, do you think Cole stays down a little bit longer?
I think the only way that happens is if the 4 in front of him, the Perez's, are doing the same thing. If they're in there, it's like, hey, this guy can play. You might need to stay in Round Rock for a little while. I can see it, but we're talking about Cole Winn is a top 5 prospect in our organization, top 50 prospect in baseball. The guy can play. So and the other hand is, you don't want to rush a guy like that up and get tagged, lose confidence, go back and jump between, Round Rock and Arlington. That's not good for them. But no, I don't think some success from all 5 of the guys, they're going to find a way to work these guys in.
Yeah.
He's going to be the future. If he has to go back there and the way Allard did, he was playing for the bullpen for a while, did okay.
Yeah.
They brought him in the rotation and he got shelled.
Yeah.
So he's kind of finding his home. But I could see something like that with Winn, if you got, especially with injury history for some of the guys in the bullpen, it's like, hey, let's bring this guy up, see what he can do.
Yeah, maybe even
that's a
move
smaller
Hearn back
sample
to the
size,
team.
a lot less pressure. So
no,
I don't think Spencer Howard will hold him out of the rotation.
That's a good question, Hunter. I've got a good hypothetical that I was reading about today that a Rags beat writer wrote about. So do y'all remember in 15 when we were coming off a really bad year in 14 and we made that weird trade for Cole Hamels in the middle of the season? We were not very good. We're like, what are we doing? And then ended up turning around and winning the division 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Could y'all see us? So there was a name that was thrown out. So let's say we overachieved big time going to the trade deadline. And he threw out a name and the Rangers bringing in Shane Bieber from the Indians. But we'd have to give up quite a bit. Would you give up Cole Winn and some other pieces to bring in Shane Bieber? He's locked in under contract till 2024. Open-ended question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at all these teams that are really contending to make a deep run, they have not one, but maybe 2. Like, this is our guy. Like,
absolutely,
he's going to win this game, and he'll pitch 7 innings, and you might get 4 or 5 hits. Like those type of pitchers, and we don't have a half of one of those.
I'm hopeful that Gray can become a good number 2 guy. That's the hope. The way that I have it envisioned is Gray pans out. He has an ERA in the mid to low 3s, and he's a good number 2 guy. And we go out and get a Shane Bieber type. And so I think I'm firmly in the yes. If we overachieve and maybe we're within a handful of games of the division lead around the trade deadline, I'm all in. Like, if his name doesn't rhyme with Jack Leiter, throw it out.
Yeah, Leiter was not in the mix to be traded. No. So Ski, what do you think? I'm on the fence.
If it was this year and that happened, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's
with that.
Next year, maybe. This year, no.
I get it. Yeah, next year. I mean, you're thinking
You
about
guys hate fun. That's
But
what y'all do.
Cole Winn, man, he could be huge, and he's
That's
our guy.
true.
that's the thing.
I
is
guess
you
I
get a
guess it's
Bieber in
because
here.
I guess it's because
You
I
got
haven't
Bieber.
seen him.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, you got say you bring in Bieber, he's the number one. You got Gray the number two, and we get in the wild card, and we win a wild card game, and we're in a series against the Blue Jays, and we pitch those two, and then guess what? You've got game 3 and you've got game 4, and you've got Perez and Howard. All right, so cool. I'll be happy we're in the playoff series. You know, whenever we're getting mugged in 6
That's fair.
games because those guys aren't going to throw more than twice. And my other critique with that is we have a lot more depth than Wynn that we may not have to give him up to grab a guy like Bieber.
Yeah, there were
especially
a lot
like
of
middle infield, outfield stuff. You know, I mean, and the other thing is Shane Bieber didn't pitch too much last year. He was injured.
That's true.
Is that going to hurt him a little bit? Is that going to, you know, are we going to give up a win and then have a Kluber 1 inning out of Bieber?
Oh, Mr. 1 inning Corey Kluber. I will punch that guy in the nose if I ever see him in person.
Yeah.
He ruined the
so
franchise.
That's something that's got to be. I mean, you can't have a deal like that again. If you want to be a contending team, you can't send off an Emmanuel Clase for 1 inning in a 20-win season out of Corey Kluber. That was just ridiculous.
Makes me sick watching.
Oh yeah,
and Fairbanks as well for the Rays.
Yeah,
great arms. And Bieber was. He said the guy writing the article said, you know, we could get an outfielder as well, but Shane Bieber, starting pitcher, just a name he threw out there. And he also threw out some of our younger guys we could trade, like Alexi Acuna's little brother, Josh Smith, Wenzel, guys like that. But he said, assuming Cole Wynn's probably going to be the top tier guy that we would get rid of, not named Jack Leiter. I'm going to go with no, just because I want to see Cole Winn. He could be our guy. I want Lynn and Leiter. I mean, Winn and Leiter. 1-2 punch for a long time.
Well,
Love to see that.
Think about this. I mean, you said that Bieber would be under control until 24.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's potentially 2.5 seasons.
Through 24. So,
yeah, through 24. That's what I mean. So you'd have the rest of the 22 season and then all the 23 and 24 with a guy like that. I mean, do we really think Cole Winn is going to be Shane Bieber? I mean,
that's the thing. Probably not.
No, I think I'd give up a prospect for 2.5 years of Shane Bieber.
It just depends where we're at, though.
This is all assuming we're overachieving. That's the thing.
Yeah,
we're
all hypothetical.
Yeah, we're assuming that Simeon and Seager are clicking, and Adolis wasn't a fluke, and maybe Eli White's found something. You know, other things have to happen for us to even be in the situation.
Yeah.
And like Ski was talking about, our bottom pitchers, a pitcher would have to be overachieving. We'd have to have some kind of staff.
Yeah.
Hearn would have to show something, or Howard would have to show something. But that team in 15 that made this move was like, if I remember, we were like 500 at that time. Like, we were not very good, coming off a bad year. And then we made the Hamels move, and the rest is history. Just an interesting hypothetical. I thought about that. I forgot to mention earlier. I thought that was interesting. So we talked about Adolis being a fluke a couple times. Does anybody think that Adolis is a fluke? Because I am also on the fence about that. He's 28 years old to be 29 around
he's
there.
29 now.
I hope he's not. Hope not. But if you remember, he was not very good the last 3 months of the season last year. Nobody in our team was. It was losing culture, miserable. But to be fair, the Adolis we saw post All-Star break was not the Adolis we had pre-All-Star break. So that is a little alarming to me.
No,
he loves a good flash.
I don't think he was a fluke. And he really started falling apart whenever we traded Joey, who was the only other decent bat in the lineup. So I think now we've got a couple other good bats, or even more than a couple. I mean, we added Simeon Seager. We haven't even talked about Mitch Garver, who's another good bat. And so Adolis is probably our 4th best hitter now. And so he went from being far and away the only threat in the lineup to now being just another guy in the lineup who's dangerous. And so I think he's going to get a lot better pitches to hit. They've talked about him having more plate discipline, which a disciplined Adolis is dangerous. So I'm hopeful, and he's still an excellent fielder. So I think he's going to have a good season. I really do.
I hope so. He mashes baseballs.
Yes.
Mashes them. So
the other thing I think we'll benefit from is not having that pressure in the 3-hole. You know, there's no way he's hitting 3-hole in this club. You know,
no.
He's going to be down there towards, you know, maybe 6-7 hole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's not going to have so much pressure to, you know, if we're going to score runs, I'm going to have to leave the yard. You know, that kind of thing. But another thing, I don't know if this is answering a question that if it's a fluke or not, but to shed some light on how good of a season he was having, even after the All-Star break and stuff. Here's a list of 7 guys. I'll tell you what they have in common. This is Jose Ramirez, Shohei Ohtani, Tatis, Cedric Mullins, Marcus Semien, Javi Baez, and Adolis Garcia. Those guys are the only people to have 30 home runs and 15 stolen bases last year.
Wow.
That's it.
Willis is a great
And
athlete.
that's with
I rest my case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not worried
and,
about his
you know,
fielding or any of that at all. That's going to –
and he struck out 31, 32% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's not great. Is there a place for those kind of guys? Yeah. You know, if he's going to leave the yard 40 times, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, especially if he's not your best bat in the lineup.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's at a point last year, it was like, man, you know, if Adolis doesn't have a hit this game, we might get shut out.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Brock Holt wasn't coming through.
He's a beast in center field too, Adolis. He
Yep.
makes real plays.
Yeah, he's got a golden glove.
If he can turn out to be a cornerstone, like he didn't have to be an all-star every year, but just be a solid guy on our baseball team.
Yep.
What a find that would be. Because the Cardinals just donated him to us.
Yeah.
We got them back.
Yeah, we did.
We won.
Back huge. And another move. So I was real sour on the Connor Falefa trade. I've turned the corner pretty good on that one. I think we've kind of fleeced the Twins and them because Garver is a lot better catcher than I gave him credit for. Great bat. And we've been a catcher for a long time. Love Trevino and Hine is Hine. But I think that Garver catcher move could be pretty big for us.
Well, and think about this. If we'd have kept Falefa, I mean,
there's no room.
Ibanez is not a better player than Falefa, I don't think, but he's not much of a drop-off. It's not like we lost much getting rid of Falefa and we gained a ton with Garver over Jonah Heim.
Yeah.
So I think that was a heck of a move. As long as Garver can stay healthy. He's had some injury problems, but
that scares me a little. But I have turned the tide. I hated the trade at first, but there was just no room for IKF once we brought in Seabury. Just
we need to get somebody. We need to get somebody for him.
And we did good in my opinion. And one more trade, that Gallo trade. If Gallo continues to struggle for the Yankees, that could be the heist of the century ski. We've talked about that a few times. All the minor leaguers that we've gotten, all like Alexi and
they are deep. Yeah, we got Duran, Smith, Otto, and Trevor Hauber. We don't talk much about. But I mean, that's a bit of a haul, especially this is Joey's last year, you know, before free agency. Or, you know, that's last year's contract or whatever. So he's not under control after this year. So, I mean, I'm not saying it'll happen, but
we need a right fielder.
Another outfielder. Hey,
I wouldn't be opposed. I really would.
We only have Cole to a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah. But even if we don't get Joey back, we could use all those kids that we got for a big package deal to get like a Shane Bieber, like we talked about earlier, or those guys could just be the kids of the future. I think that was a great deal by Chris Young. So one more Rangers thought here. What do we think about head boss Woody? Because if you don't like him, like we talked about earlier, you're just gonna have to get over that because he's gonna be here for a while. It seemed like he was a huge deal in getting Corey Seager to come here, and Marcus Semien said a lot of big things about him as well. So thoughts on Woody? He's been given nothing in his first few years here, so it's really hard to judge. The whole deal with the Padres and the COVID bubble year with the Tatis homer and him whining about having some integrity for the game, that kind of soured me pretty good. But I like Woody. He gives good pressers. He says all the right things. He seems really big on plate discipline. That seems like his go-to. And they did a pretty good job with Adolis and Joey at the deadline, both all-stars last year. And then, you know, Joey leaves and he's back to old fly swat Joe. So I'll let y'all thoughts on Woody.
Yeah. So I honestly, like at the beginning or the last couple of years, I've been pretty much on the fence with him. But, you know, like you said, I mean, really, what has he had to work with? You know, not a whole lot. So, but yeah, honestly, what really turned the tide with me is, you know, in the off season, you know, we were signing some guys and then they'll do the press conferences and all that kind of stuff. It's just listening to how he was answering the questions and how he was explaining to Marcus and Corey of kind of his, you know, his basically how he's going to run the team into the future. And he hit on some points in those pressers too. which he sounded great, and I like his vision going forward. So, and like you said, with having those guys come in, and they clearly spoke highly of Woody too. So that's huge. If your two main guys are in the basket with your guy, I mean that's huge.
Says a lot. That buys you
Yeah.
some time for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of times, that's when like the all-star player or something, he's like, hell with this guy, I'm leaving. They get in a big pissing match, and then nothing ends up going good for the player or the franchise. So yeah, I'm excited. And then going forward, and these, like you said, Cameron, he's not going to go anywhere for a while. So I'm anxious to see how it rolls out.
Yeah, unless we win 60 games the next 2 years, he's not going anywhere. Because if we fire him after 1 year, I'm sure Seager's going to be pretty pissed signing that 10-year deal.
Yeah,
he loses his head got in 1 year. So I don't see that happen. I don't. So
I think.
Go ahead.
I mean, one of the biggest value in having Woody here is like you said, man, he ran deep with that LA Dodgers organization. The way they talk about him,
over there.
I'm pretty convinced that if he wasn't here, we don't have Seager right now. Like, not a chance.
No doubt.
And yeah, those press conferences, it's hard not to get excited listening to those guys. They're on the same page. They want to win. You talk about, you can't say enough how hard it is to get two like perennial all-star guys to a team that won 60 games last year. And man, I think Woody's a big reason that happens. And it's not like he's the hitting coach, and the reason that all guys are striking out is because it's Woody. And we talked about this earlier. We've got some of those questions answered maybe with Tim Hires coming on.
That's huge. I love that hire.
Yeah, and Eckert. Bench coach. It's like, man, things are looking up. So I was pretty critical, especially after the Tatis stuff.
That was annoying.
I think the way Hunter would say it is throw a better pitch.
Yeah.
You don't want to get a tank hit off of you. Like Tatis is playing for some pretty good money now. So it's like he's going to try to hit the ball of the yard anytime he can, especially against the middle school guys we throw out there that year. So I like him.
I'm just going to choose to believe that was a frustrating year, and Woody just had a bad night and just bad presser. That's just what I'm going to go with, because I like Woody. I love listening to his pressers. Says all the right things. Seems like he's teaching the guys all the right things. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for the future. And I wanted to get our offseason grades as a whole. To me, it's an A+ from the hires and the staff, from the big $300 million signings. We brought in a pitcher. John Gray may not be an ace in 2 years, but he's definitely a MLB starter for the next however many years. Love that. Cole Calhoun, ? He's a good locker room guy, though, at the worst, kind of like a Brock Holt type guy. We brought back Culberson, another locker room guy, and then the Garver trade. So I'm A+ for me all around. At following last year, and that's what we got coming in. We're 2 days for the season starts, and this is our ball club. I'm excited. I'm not expecting a World Series. I'd love to be in contention post All-Star break, but if we're not, I'm not going to be sour on it. At least try not to be. Who knows with negative brownie, but we'll see. But I'm excited. A+ for me. So, all right. Hunter had a good idea for the pod, so I want to get into this. Big picture talk for the Rangers. When do we expect to contend, Hunter? When do you think the year is okay? This is division-winning Rangers team, and who do you expect to see on that club? Because obviously not everyone on this team is going to be there. I'd love for guys like Eli White to kind of blossom and be a part of the club. So what do you think? Give me your thoughts there. I'll get skis and cuds as well.
Yeah, so this is something that we've talked about quite a bit in the group message, and I think we were just talking about expectations for this year and stuff. I think this is probably going to be a good thing to keep an eye on, just in case, in the event that probably happens, that we aren't that competitive come July. So I think if we start to think big picture about building a World Series roster over the next 3 to 5 years, that'll give us something to watch for, even if we're not competitive, right? You can see, hey, Eli White's actually showing signs that he could contribute on a World Series level team, and start to look for guys that, like, obviously we've got the middle infield. That is a World Series level middle infield.
No doubt.
We hope that Josh Jung is going to turn out to be a World Series contributing third baseman. And so I'd like to kind of just throw around ideas like, where do we think the roster is right now with how many pieces do we have currently that we think could contribute on a World Series winning roster, and where our biggest holes, maybe a couple guys that we have coming up that obviously we've touched on Jack Leiter a little bit. I think we've kind of pinned the hopes of the franchise on him, it seems like. So what I'd be curious to see what y'all think on the current state of the roster. How many guys do you think we have? And then where do we need to see the biggest improvement?
Definitely pitching. I was high on the bullpen, but that's a bullpen with Hernandez and Leclerc. We need both of them. And then I know Ski likes the Barlow kid. I like Barlow. And then other than that, Allard is iffy. He shows flashes every now and then. I don't know. I like John King a lot. And other than that, we got some veterans in there, kind of Garrett Richards. I think we brought Greg Holland into camp. I don't know if he'll be a staple. So that's a big area to improve. And our bullpen is just, is the Rangers bullpen. And then starters, I'm hoping John Gray and Dunning will be a part of that, and then we'll get Wayne and Leiter, and then we'll need one more guy, and that's up to Hearn and Howard.
But in a postseason, you really only need 4 guys. You really do.
Right.
So if those 4 are healthy, then I mean do you think that rotation can compete in the postseason? Like if
Wayne, Leiter, Dunning, Gray.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know if I see those
rotation for sure. We'd have to. We're always going to be a hitting ball club, always. Just the nature of the team, in my opinion. But I think that 4 would be okay. We just got to see what Wayne and Leiter can do at the big level.
Yeah,
that's a lot of hoping on some minor league guys. Cud, what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I think not this year. I think this year and the next year are just, great building.
We're trying to find these guys. We're trying to. Yep. You said earlier we just threw a bunch of guys out there, see if we can find some diamonds, and maybe Adolis ends up being that diamond.
Yeah.
But we're trying to see how many we can uncover over the next couple of years and hopefully make a run.
Yeah, and I think I think over this offseason we've made an incredible stride already. We do half of the offseason we do this year, next year, mainly focus on the outfield, bullpen for sure. I think the third year we're going to see a serious ball club, and it's kind of hard to think about because like Ski said, to get 2 premier guys to a team that won 60 ball games is unheard of, not just in baseball, like basketball guys don't even do that hardly. But yeah, so, if you have guys like that in every professional sport, if there is some top-notch stud guys, people are going to want to play with those guys. So my hope is that, they mesh real well and play with our younger guys, get Ibanez in there and get hot. And who knows if what if he has a great year at third?
Yeah.
And then you got Josh Jung and you trade Ibanez and, you could get someone for a great.
Ibanez is still pretty young, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very young.
So, let's say he has a great year. We trade him and get something serious. And now we have our Josh Jung guy at third. So I'm really excited for this year. Honestly, I don't have any expectations, and I love it because
just be better than last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be watchable.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just the first year of a great stride to where we're wanting to go. So I think not this year, not next year, but the 3 or 4 years from now, we're going to be right where we want to be.
Ski, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this club's got a chance to contend next year. Especially,
I really do.
Maybe not. Maybe they're not going to be a World Series favorite. They're not going to be a Dodgers. They're not going to be a White Sox, that kind of team. But you're talking about a core. That's what you've got to have a team for one of these teams. And I think when the time comes, you can look back to this 2021 Braves team, and for the Rangers to win a World Series, it's going to have to be something like this. So there's a quick breakdown into how that team came about. So you've got Freeman, Austin Riley, AJ Minter, and Ian Anderson were all drafted. Those were homegrown Atlanta Braves. But the Braves last year at the deadline had one of the best deadlines in any sport I've ever seen. So they added Eddie Rosario, NLCS MVP, Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, legend, in of itself. I mean, if that was the only ball he hit in his whole life, I would love him for it.
You love Solarski.
Oh my gosh, he should be in Arlington. Anyways, no, he strikes out too much. He's like a Joey that can't play defense. And Adam Duvall, but I mean, those were ball players in that lineup this year, and it got a World Series. I mean, and this is how far back this stuff kind of goes. But 2014 is when they got Max Fried in a trade. Wow. 2015 they got Dansby, a huge trade, boneheaded trade by the Diamondbacks. You take somebody first overall, and immediately turn around and trade them. Whatever. They got Justin Upton for it. Anyways. So, and the guys they added in free agency, Charlie Morton, huge ad. We're going to have to do something like that.
Yeah.
Travis d'Arnaud, Will Smith, the pitcher Will Smith. And then you got Drew Smiley and Jesse Chavez.
Chavez was nice for them.
Yeah, he was.
Our man,
Chavez. Definitely. So, I mean, we're not going to turn in this club that's the Dodgers. And we've got 7 guys in and out every year that are straight studs. But when the time comes and the arms race is on and we're in it, we're going to have to load up and get some guy like this. And looking ahead to next offseason, some of the arms available, we're going to talk about pitching only. Guys I see on here, I like Dallas Keuchel, Kyle Gibson, homecoming, whatever. Chris Bassett, Carlos Carrasco, Aaron Nola, that reminds me of something I want to, I was talking good on Woody. This has nothing to do with him, and talking good on the front office and stuff. But the Zach Wheeler not being a Ranger after that before that 2020 season, there's no excuse for that.
Unacceptable.
In the moves they made there and giving up Clase, that's something that it's looking up now. But
it's all
if
JD.
that stuff hadn't happened, oh man.
That was pre-CI, CY, wasn't it?
We all
yes.
JD.
Yeah, that is JD. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was not Chris Young's doing. The lack of the poor offseason we have there, and then
imagine if we still had
miserable deadline. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you talk about if you want to get a guy like Bieber.
Yeah,
he's got a teammate named Emmanuel Clase. And if you throw in Win in that package, I might be a little happier. You got to talk about a guy that's a stud in the bullpen, a guy that's a stud in the starting rotation. I mean, I can't really argue with that. But yeah, I think this team's going to surprise the people this year. I think the fact that some people will expect us to have a disappointing season because of the expectation now that we have these guys after we lost 102 games is a testament to where this team's going to go and where it's come from. So, it's like if you told us 6 months ago that people in the office would be like, the Rangers aren't going to win anything this year, be like, yeah, we know. We've been there. But the fact that people are arguing against the success of this team, it shows you're doing something right. Yeah, man, it's going to be exciting. I don't expect we're not going to win a division this year. I don't think. We'll see. And that'll be on Howard's shoulders back there, proving something. But you get guys it's not going to be another year of throw the lineup out there, see what sticks, and roll with it again. We'll find out. That's not going to be the feel like it was last year. It's like, hey, what's the line going to be today? Do we know these guys' names or not?
Yeah. Who's Jason Martin?
So yeah, exactly. So you come up there and we're going to have Simeon Seager, Garver, Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis Garcia. We've got 5 guys, 6 guys there that are going to be the core of this club, and then the pressure is going to be on the other guys. Say, hey, I'm coming in and I got called up to play this, whatever. It's not like, oh, they might keep me here. Who else is going to be here? Yep. It's like, hey, no, you got to play. You got to step up, and this team's going to be good. So you got to figure it out.
I tell you what, we haven't even talked about Brad Miller yet.
I was just about to say
that dude is a ball player.
I was just about to say no one on this pod has mentioned Brad Miller, aka David Murphy Jr.
David Murphy.
Yep.
That man has rag written all over him.
Face machine.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, so, and that's the other thing. You look at the other moves, it's like all everybody wants to talk about is the Seager and Simeon deals.
Yep.
But then you got John Gray, workhorse pitcher. Everybody wanted him. Mitch Garver, we didn't talk about this much, but the catcher position in baseball is thin. You look
Yes.
around the league,
Very,
finding
very.
a good catcher is tough.
Yeah.
Mitch
We got
Garver,
one.
top 5 catcher in baseball. I don't
Yep.
think there's any argument against that. If you can list 5 catchers better than him, good luck.
His last full season, he was a Silver Slugger, right?
Yeah, I mean he can hit, and that's a unicorn at that position right now.
Yep.
But you've got I'd say Will Smith, Yaz, Salvi, Perez,
And Grandal.
That's it.
Grant. Yeah, I mean it's
There's
like,
a handful of guys.
We got
who
one
else
of
are
them.
you gonna? Yeah, exactly. So, and that's another just symbolic thing. You look at Mitch Garver isn't the number one guy we got this offseason. It's not even close. That's good news.
Yeah.
Brad Miller, yeah, I'm gonna be excited to see him play. I'm glad we picked him up from the Phillies.
How old is he?
I think they're gonna.
Like 30, maybe?
He's like third. Yeah. Let me see.
That may be one of the most underrated signings of the offseason. That guy turns out to be just a nice little.
Man,
he's 32.
Okay, so he's fine. My hopes are definitely too high, but I mean, he hit like 5 bombs in spring training.
He was awesome in spring training.
And he shells the ball. Yeah.
Yes.
He reminds me of a more consistent Derek Dietrich. Rangers legend. Rangers legend.
No, not.
So it sounds like the consensus is 2024 is the season where we should outside of big deadline moves next year, like we're talking about, outside of something like that happening. It sounds like 2024 we should reasonably expect to contend for a World Series.
That's my 2024 is the year. Wouldn't it be cool? 2024 we're a top team in baseball with all our homegrown guys.
Yeah.
We didn't have to buy one like the Dodgers, like the Rams did in the NFL, like pretty much what sports is going to.
Yeah.
Buy right now.
I think it'd be cool. And I mean, I brought this up, and we talk about this a lot just because I think it's going to give us something to keep an eye on. Even, you were talking about Ski, how the lineup's going to be fairly predictable for the first, 5 or 6 guys in the lineup, but the bottom of that lineup, we could find guys, you get an Eli White. We keep bringing him up just because he's a pretty reliable outfielder, and he could be a good bat. He's got some power when he hits it. I mean, it's just a matter of, can he find more consistency?
Fast.
So fast.
He is 99th percentile speed.
I saw a stat the other day that he had the second fastest sprint in all of Major League Baseball last season.
It's quick.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
so bat very well.
He's a guy that he's not going to be an everyday contributor on a World Series level team, but I tell you what, he might be one of those guys that you bring in to pinch run in the 8th, and he's got a spot on a World Series ball club if he pans out. So it's just kind of something for us to keep an eye on and keep track of as the season goes on.
No doubt about it. All right, I'll close up the Rags talk. Let's do a little bit of division predictions before we close out the pod. Running low on time, so we'll go division by division. Everybody give their prediction for division winner. We'll start with Ski. You have to help me with the directions. I get mixed up. AL East is Red Sox, Yankees, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
AL East, I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays.
By the way, I'm writing these down. I'm keeping the receipts, and we're going to come back and air it all out.
I'm going with the Blue Jays, and I'm going to say that division gets 2 teams in the playoffs this year. Hot take, and it's going to be the Sox and the Blue Jays. The Rays,
that's not that hot of a take. I mean, it wouldn't be outrageous for them to get 3 teams in, because
that's exactly what I'm going to say.
There are 3 dadgum wild card spots now. I mean, we're just giving away playoff spots.
I'm saying they're only going to get 2 in.
Oh, you're saying only?
Oh, you're
2.
saying
only 2. Only 2
okay.
in.
I thought you were saying that that's a lot. Like
no.
Okay,
they're only getting 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's the best division in baseball that everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
The Yankees had the biggest failure of an offseason that I've ever seen, just like the LA Lakers did. And look how it turned out for them in the NBA.
I tell you what, did y'all see that shade thrown at my boy IKF in that headline?
Yeah,
said why the Yankees didn't sign a shortstop. My goodness, they just signed a Gold Glover. And nobody's giving him any love. It breaks my heart to see Connor Falefa not get the respect he deserves.
They're the New York Rags. They've got like 5 Rangers on them.
Yeah,
and they all had beards. They all had to shave.
Every one of them. And I think the Rays have lost a lot of their. I know they got that Wander Franco kid. Everyone's super high on him. He's a stud, obviously, but they've got that Meadows deal. I thought was quite odd. They didn't get too much back for him. But I'm going Toronto Blue Jays out of that division. Hunter?
Yeah, I've got Toronto as well.
What about you, Cud? You and Ski?
I think I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox.
I like that. I can definitely see
I
that.
think it's going to come down to them two. Like you said, I don't think the Yankees will be worth anything. The Rays digressed. They lost, Meadows, and they lost my man Joey Wendell at third. So I think the Rays kind of digressed some, and then the Red Sox, Jays definitely got better. So I think it'll come down to both those clubs when it comes down to the wild card or making the playoffs.
That Red Sox lineup is nasty, man. Devers, Martinez, Bogarts, Story. Good gracious, Verdugo.
Yeah.
I like that team. Their pitching's weak, but they can hit. Ski, what about you?
Yeah, I'll talk the Blue Jays up. I'm going to take them. I don't think the Rays are going to be that far behind. I could see them getting in. I mean, Franco only played 70 games last year. You get 162 out of him. He's a 5-tool guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to miss Joey Wendell and Austin Meadows, man. But that club is centered around pitching anyways. So we'll see. But I'll take the Blue Jays.
3 Blue Jays, 1 Red Sox. Okay, AL Central, I'm going to go – this may be unanimous, but I'm going to go White Sox. They got to get my man Lance Lynn healthy, though. They're going to be in some trouble with their pitching. But I'm going to go White Sox. Hunter?
Yeah, White Sox.
Cud?
White Sox.
Unanimous, Ski, White Sox?
Yeah, I'm taking them.
That division's going to be interesting, though. The Guardians, as we say, Guardians, Tigers, what does that leave? Guardians, Tigers, Twins, and Royals are still young. But
they might surprise some people.
A lot of up-and-coming teams kind of in that division. The White Sox still cream of the crop. And then AL West, I'm going to say the Mariners win the division. I think it's their year. I'm not sold on the Astros. I like their pitching. They still got a few cornerstone pieces with Bregman and Altuve, but the Astros window may be passing them by, as we know. Losing Correa hurts them. But I think the Astros will make the playoffs. I do. I think it'll be Astros Mariners coming out of the West.
Yeah, I've got the Astros winning the division still, just because it just feels weird to say that the Seattle Mariners are going to win the division. I can't make myself say it, so I'm going Houston.
Good point. Cud?
I'm taking the Rags.
Love it.
Yes.
I think, like you said, I think Houston's they're still going to be a great team, but I think they took a step back. The Mariners, they got a lot better, but I think those teams are beatable.
I agree.
Depending on how our team's meshing, you throw in maybe a trade in there. I do not think we're that far behind in this division at all. So
Rag faith right there, Cud. Rag faith.
I think the AL West gets 3 teams in. I think us, the Astros and the Mariners get in. The White Sox come out of the Central, and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays come out of the East. That's my 6 playoff ball club.
My gosh.
Make it happen.
Ski?
I love it.
I'll let you go ahead. AL West champ.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Mariners too. Club won 90 games last year. They had a little bit of magic toward the end, but
They did.
signing Robbie Ray there, and then you got to mention a guy like Julio Rodriguez. The guy can play. Watch for him in the Rookie of the Year race this year. They've got just a young club, and yeah, I mean they're gonna get better. I could see them taking it.
Just to touch on the Rags one more time, the A's are going to be an abomination, probably the worst team in baseball. The Angels ain't scared nobody in the history of their existence. I don't care if Mike Trout and Shohei are there. They just don't win because they can't pitch, never have, never will. Anthony Rendon can't stay healthy. And their minor league guys like Joe Adell are not really panning out. I'm not scared of the Angels. And the Astros, like Cud said, are on the decline. And I think the Mariners are the top team in the division, but they're not the Dodgers world beaters. I think we can compete with them. I don't think it's crazy.
With this extra wild card spot, what sort of record gets into the playoffs as the 6th spot?
The Mariners 90 wins like last year. That's definitely getting in. Maybe 87.
Yeah, I'd say 87, 90 wins.
Yeah, 87 to 92 and anything.
I mean, that's definitely overachieving for this Rangers club.
No doubt.
But I don't think it's totally outside the realm of possibility.
No, it's not out of reach too far.
I agree. So let's go to the NL. And here's where you're really going to have to help me, Ski. NL East is the Braves division, correct?
Braves, Phillies, Marlins.
And the Central is the Cardinals, and the West is Dodgers, correct?
Correct, yep.
Time zones, Brownie. Come on, time zones. So East, man, I want to pick the Mets. I really do. But DeGrom and Scherzer are both cooks. I can't do it. They're both wounded. I'm gonna have to go Braves to repeat in the East. I'm not sold on the Phillies. Same reason as the Angels. Hunter?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm taking the Mets.
I like the
Yeah.
Mets. They got to get DeGrom healthy.
Yeah,
Judd?
I'm banking on Scherzer getting healthy and
I think
DeGrom is
Scherzer's going to get healthy quicker. DeGrom is kind of iffy. Could be out for quite a while.
anything he pitches is a bonus. I mean, if he can
Yeah.
get close to triple digit innings this year, that's a miracle. And if he gets close to 100 innings this season, then they win the division pretty handily, I think.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Cub division winner?
I'm taking the Braves. They lost Freddie Freeman, but Matt Olson's going to fit right in. Austin Riley is just a freak. I think they're going to be just fine. I'm taking the Braves.
Ski?
I'm with Cub there. I'm taking the Braves.
Three Braves.
I think the Mets and Phillies I think the Phillies will probably finish above the Mets. I see the Mets as maybe a third place team there. I think the Phillies will overachieve a little bit, but you're talking that Braves club really didn't downgrade much from Freddie Freeman. You could say that's almost a lateral move. They still got one of the best staffs in the league. And then you got my man, Ronald Acuna, coming back from an ACL with a vengeance. So I'd love to see him tear it up again, have another MVP year.
Hey, the Rags have Acuna Jr. sitting in our bullpen. His brother is coming.
He's not a pitcher.
Of course. So the AL Central, probably the worst division in baseball, I would say. You got Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Pirates, and who's my 15?
Reds.
The Reds. Yeah, Reds are terrible this year. Cubs going to be terrible. Cardinals are going to be the Cardinals. I think the Brewers are the team to beat in this division. I'm going Brewers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I like the lineup a lot.
Yeah, I'll take the Brewers too as well. They got good pitching, and what's our man name? Woodruff.
Woodruff is a beast. So is Corbin Burns.
Yeah,
Brewers are complete. They're a complete team.
Yeah, I'll take the Brewers there.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest division pick.
Yeah,
the Brewers, 100%.
It's probably the worst division in baseball. Reds, Cubs, and Pirates are all going to be awful this year.
Horrible. Yeah.
The Reds blew their team up, and the Cubs are in rebuild mode, and the Pirates are one of the worst franchises in American sports. So, Brewers pretty easy there. And in the West, I have a feeling this is going to be a sweep as well. Dodgers, no doubt.
Me too.
The Dodgers are going to win that division.
The Rockies are. I'll tell you all this. Thank God we're not Rockies fans, because their management, they have no idea what they're doing.
What are they doing?
They don't bring anybody in. Okay, they're going on a rebuild, and then they just pay Chris Bryant all this money to win 60 games. There's literally nothing there, and they just traded Tapia to the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
they have nothing other than Chris Bryant, and we got their man John Gray. They got Marquez, their ace pitcher. That's all they have. Rockies not good. D-backs not good. I think the Giants kind of had a one-off year last year. They'll still be a solid team. They're getting old. Mm-hmm. And that leaves us with the Padres, the biggest question mark in baseball. So Dodgers, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
World Series prediction, I'm going to go Blue Jays, Dodgers World Series, and unfortunately picking the Dodgers to win it all. That lineup is just too good. Their pitching rotation is just too good. I hate to pick a super team, but I'm going Dodgers.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going Dodgers over Blue Jays as well.
The youth of the Blue Jays scares me a little bit to pick them, but I think the AL is wide open. And that's just I just like the young talent of that Blue Jays team. That's what I'm going with. Cud?
I'm going to go Dodgers, Red Sox, Red Sox upset.
Wow. Dude, they can. Their lineup's awesome.
I mean, their lineup's great, and that's one of the teams, when you look at their squad, man, that team's going to just have so much grit. It's going to be unbelievable. So,
I'd love to watch that series. That would be an awesome series.
Man.
That's over all year.
But, yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers mop the floor with the whole league. I think that if they can just stay healthy and hold on, they should handily take it. But I think the Red Sox are going to be pretty darn good this year.
Ski, World Series prediction?
Can't bring myself to say the Dodgers are going to win again. So with that, I'm going to say the White Sox.
I would have loved that.
I wish. I'm going to take the White Sox over the Atlanta Braves again.
Wow.
I love the Braves. I can see it now, them, upsetting that wagon of a Dodgers team again.
Yeah.
Especially after the whole 3-1 stuff. And it seems like, maybe some of that magic's coming Atlanta's way. So I hope that happens. I hope that pans out. And then I love this White Sox club. There's probably not a more fun team to watch.
Yeah.
And man, they're deep in pitching once they get healthy. If Garrett Crochet comes back and stuff, you got the best, closer in baseball, Liam Hendricks. I'll take them.
What a fun series that'd be. White Sox Braves. That'd be awesome. So, all right, boys, I enjoyed it. I could talk about this for 5 hours. Rangers, this is Rangers baseball. I'd like to do this quite a bit, especially in the summer when there's nothing else going on.
I was going to say, we need to do this once a month or so, a couple times a month.
I'm watching every game. I want to get on Ski's level of Brag's knowledge. I can't wait. Just be watchable, Rangers, please.
Yep.
If someone hears this, just be watchable.
Hey,
just give me something to look forward to.
Operation 2024. That's what we're calling this.
That's
Operation
right.
2024.
We don't have to contend this year. We don't have to win 80 games. We don't have to have a winning record. Just be watchable. Let's have some all-stars. Let's get some young pitchers to come up. Maybe Allard can turn the corner. Howard, Hearn. A lot of pressure on the guys like that. I mean, just give me something, Rangers, please. I'm asking nicely.
For now.
All right, boys, I enjoyed it. We'll be back to regular podcast last week, 903 Sports. Thanks, everybody, for listening.